there's all kinds of avenues that we can like explore with kids. And I think business like is something that just really hasn't been tapped into as much. It's kind of like an episode of House Hunters for kids. We ended up selling over 1,500 books. It is something that I designed for agents to just help their business. This can like really benefit your business.
If you're a business owner or an entrepreneur, a freelancer, and you've been considering writing a children's book to scale your business, then this is the episode for you. We've heard a lot about business owners using books to scale their business, but not so much about children's books. And so this is a very new perspective, and I'm so excited to have Ashley Willis on the show with me today. We'll be talking about how she has used her children's book to scale her business as a real estate agent. And if you're watching for the first time, my name is Travis Peterson. This is the Coffee and Kidlit Show. I love to help children's book authors and authors in general write wholesome books that kids will love and adults will cherish. So if you like that kind of content, be sure to hit subscribe and like, and I hope you enjoy this episode with Ashley Willis. Ashley Willis, welcome to the show. I'm so glad to have you on here. We've had a little bit of a friendship going for a while now, as you hired me to design your book, and it was such a fun project, and I was so glad to be a part of it for a couple of reasons. Because first of all, I kind of have a soft spot in my heart for home buying, or more of the architectural side of houses, because that's kind of what I studied in college, even though all my experience has been in book design since then. But I love those shows like the house flipping, Chip and Joanne. They're special to me, that kind of thing. So, but also because I think your approach to publishing a children's book is very different from others. So I'm excited to have you on the show and get to hear a little bit more about your journey.
Yeah. Hey, Travis. Thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure to always talk with you. And yeah, it's been such a fun process, and learned a lot. And it really has been fun to like combine two loves that I've always had. One being children's books, and two, real estate, because I really kind of grew up with a love of homes as well too.
So give us a little bit of your background, not only with your family, but also your background as a realtor and what that's kind of looked like for you.
Yeah, so I always like grew up with like this love of homes. My dad actually built the home that we first lived in. And I just remember as a kid, like my dad would like take me down in the basement and like show me, oh, this is how, a home's built. And so I just kind of grew up with just this like appreciation of homes. And you know, throughout my life, like just I've just always been interested in homes, the way they've been built, the design of them. And so when it got time for me to go to college, I actually chose interior design as my major. And I just going through the classes and stuff, I was like, you know what, this isn't right. And so I really just kind of like did some self-searching of like, what is it that I want to do? And I actually dropped out of college against my parents' wishes and got my real estate license. So I've been licensed since I was 21. So I'm actually going on year 17 next month of being in real estate. And it's really just,
Congratulations.
I know it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, gosh, 17 years. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And so it's just been such a blessing. Like I love real estate. I've always loved being a realtor, and it's been wonderful.
We have sort of that in common because my dad also built my childhood home.
Oh,
Actually,
really?
two houses that we lived in. The first one that my parents built, and then a second one just a few years after that that kind of became that home that they were in for like, I don't know, 25, 30
Yeah.
years. And just, I don't know if it was, maybe it was just before the COVID, they sold that house and moved out. And so now when I go back home, it's like, I'm not going back to the same house anymore. It
Yeah.
doesn't quite feel the same.
That
Yeah.
home, I lived in my childhood home till I was 15, and it's like I live in Texas now. I grew up in St. Louis. But it's like when you go home, it's just not the same. That home is so special.
Right. Um, so you've been a realtor now for 17 years, and you also have this love of children, working with children, or children's books. And so I'm curious to know how you've been able to engage children in the whole process of home buying and that search of a house. Have you found some good ways to do that?
Yeah, I've always loved children. Like even growing up, I always worked in like, Sunday school at my church and just have always loved children. And so, working with families, it's so fun to like get kids involved in this process because, it's like that they're like, what are we doing? Like, what does this mean we're moving or looking for a new home? And you just talk to them, like, and it's funny to see like the things that they point out in these houses, especially, I know a lot of parents try not to bring their kids on the showing, but I actually really enjoy it. Just because they get to see like these different houses. And I know as a kid, like I always loved going to like open houses with my mom, like even though we weren't looking for a house and just like finding all the unique things in different homes. And so, I just think it's fun to involve the kids because it's just something different for them and it's something for them to learn. And so yeah, and now it's kind of just become like this new mission of mine, like after writing the book, because it was like it first started as like, oh, here's a great gift that agents can give their clients who have young kids. But now it's almost become a mission of like, we need to get these kids more involved in the process because, you know,
Hmm.
I talk to a lot of adults and they're like, yeah, when I moved as a kid, it was traumatizing. It was, like it was hard. It was scary. There was a lot of emotions behind it. And so now it's like, yeah, like these kids, we love to say kids are so resilient. Well, it's kids become adults with trauma, and so it's
Right.
like we do need to talk to them about the emotions of moving, what they're feeling, what they're scared of, what they're worried about going to a new school or making new friends. Or, I've even had kids ask, like, well, can I take my toys with me? And it's like, of course, like all your things are coming with you, it's just a new place. And so I do think there's an opportunity for agents to really talk the parents, like to help the parents like about talking to these things with their kids,
Hmm.
during the process of looking for a new home.
So let's go a little bit deeper in that. How does that conversation look to you? Or do you have any other maybe creative ideas for how you can kind of get their involvement? Like, and we're going to talk about your book a little bit, but what I love about it is their excitement in going through the house and finding their room. This is my room, and
Yes.
looking for all these different details. But have you come up with any ideas for how you might be able to include them even more than you have up until this point?
Yeah, we're like designing different things as far as like worksheets and things that agents can like give the families of things to talk about, at the kitchen
Mm,
table. And it's and making the adventure fun for kids of like, here's a little scavenger hunt. Like I just recently designed a little open house scavenger hunt. So when agents have open houses, they can give this little sheet to kids and say, okay, here's the things that you need to find, or, asking them like what their favorite room is, or, like just getting them to, open up and have fun with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
And I still think there's more things to come as far as like different ways to involve kids in the process.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So I'll just go ahead and show uh, your book here. I've got a copy. I had to
Yay!
run and find it. It was wife has been moving books around, so I wasn't sure which
I
shelf
know.
it was on, but I have it now. I couldn't find the workbook, but you have a workbook to go along with it.
Yes,
Kind of not a workbook, but an activity book.
activity book. Yeah.
Um, yeah,
And oh my gosh, it's so cool to say that my book is international.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, that's right.
It's in a different country. That's so cool. But no, we
Yeah,
do have the activity book as well.
yeah. And you also have, I'm not going to pull them out, but you have
Yeah.
this memory game to
Yes.
go with it. So, and I was just on your website a little while ago. You've got these bundles where you can buy everything together, or you can buy the individual items. But I think it's such a creative business plan, and that's really why I wanted to bring you on the show, because a lot of up until now, I've been dealing with a lot of books that maybe they bring awareness to a disability, or maybe they have a biblical value or something like that. Yours is really more from a business standpoint, and we hear a lot about business owners writing books to scale their business, but um, I really haven't heard anyone talk about writing a children's book to scale their business. So I think it's just a really creative way to go with it. So, what exactly inspired the house hunt? And
Yeah.
yeah, what
Yeah.
inspired you to write a children's book?
So, it's so funny because it is. It's very, very different from, it's like I've been, learning from so many different authors, and I know that my plan with mine has been so different. But, it's oh gosh, I've wanted to write a children's book since I was very young, and it's always been on my heart. And it's just been kind of funny how, it's like you go through life and it's like there's different times where I just remember it like thinking about it and being like, yeah, that is still something that I really want to do. But it's like, I don't know what I'm going to write about. I don't, I really just, I knew that someday I would write a book, a children's book. And,
Mm,
it was during COVID, and I was sitting in my dining room and I was like, you know what? I really do want to write a children's book. And it's like, well, I don't know what I'm going to write about. And, I just sat there and I really just was thinking hard about it. It's like, where do good ideas come from? And it's like, well, they're a gift from God. And
mm,
so I sat there at my dining room table and I prayed and I just said, God, I know that you're going to give me a great idea one day. And it may be next year, or it may be, 10 years from now, but I will know, what it is that I'm supposed to write about. And it was like a year later, and I'm sitting at my dining room table exactly where I, sat there and prayed. And it was like that I wasn't even thinking about the children's book at all. It's so surreal just to
yeah,
tell people this story. But I was just sitting there and this idea just dropped into my head, and it was, you're supposed to write a children's book about a family buying a home. And I feel terrible now because I started laughing out loud. It was just me sitting there and I just started laughing because I'm like, surely there's thousands of books about kids moving and, you know, buying a home, or, just some combination of that sort. So I pulled over my laptop and I'm on Amazon and I'm looking, and I literally was just adding to cart every single book that was about kids moving. And so I waited for them to get shipped and started going through them. And I was just like, these are great, but it's not the story I would tell. Like, as a real estate
mm,
agent, um, just working with kids, like this isn't the story that I think is going to resonate with one, agents, and two, kids who are looking for a home. And so then just started the process of researching. And it's kind of just been this like developing idea over time, like as I started the process of researching like how to even write a book or publish, get a book published. And I was just like, if I am going to do this, I'm going to do it where I can make money with it. Like I
Mhm.
wanted a business. I I love my husband and I are both business owners, and so it's kind of in our blood of just like, well, like if this is what I want to do, I'd love to start a small business, have and we've really have brought our 8-year-old son into it, Ethan, so he helps a lot and he's getting
Yeah.
to learn what it's like to run a small business, so I love that. Um but yeah, it started as like, well, let's, write a book that is the process of buying a home, what that looks like for kids. Um, and then it's just kind of evolved into, okay, well, let's do an activity book that goes along with it so that the kids are really engaged in the process and having fun with it. And then it turned into, well, let's do the game to go with it. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like this, it's just kind of added over time. And I, you know, I love having kids be a part of this. Like that is like the most fun thing is like hearing from either the families who are reading this to their kids as they're going through this process. I love that. But it's also been so fun to have this as a business to where it's like combining my favorite things.
Yeah.
And it's been great. It's been great.
That's awesome. Tell us a little bit how you've been able to get Ethan involved. Like what does that look like? What's he actually doing for you?
Yeah. So he has, I've just have wanted to include him in just like bits and pieces of the process just to like see what kind of gets him excited.
Mhm.
Um, and also just kind of teaching him along the way of there are a lot of different parts of owning a business. It's not just writing a book and then just selling it. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff of ordering all of the shipping products and shipping the books, but then also the sales tax and
Mhm.
the emailing. And so I'm excited to get him more involved as he gets a little bit older. But as of right now, he helps me a lot with the shipping. He helps me package the boxes. He goes through, we print off the little sales sheet, and so he gets each item out and counts them, and then helps me decide what size box we need, and packaging them up and getting them all nicely put in there. And then he also does help me when we go to the post office.
Yeah.
He's usually the one pulling the cart. And so it's been a lot of fun. And then we have recently done, we've done 2 events where we've sold like in person, and he's had a lot of fun with that of just, being there, taking the money, of course. They love, taking the money.
Yeah.
But then also, people asking him for his autograph because he is one of the main characters in the book.
That's
And
right.
so we did that this weekend. We had a little book launch, and people were asking him for his autograph. And so when we got home, he said, "Mom, I'm kind of famous." I was like, "Yes, you
That's
are.
fun.
You are."
Yeah.
And so, sometimes I do embarrass him a little bit. Moms are a little
That's
embarrassing.
our job, right?
Yeah, yeah. Which is kind of fun, but
Yeah.
but it has been really fun to like see him get more involved. And he's like, "Mom, how many books did we sell today?" And talking it over, and he's like, "Well, how much did I make today?" It's like, well,
Oh,
you have to do your job.
yeah, yeah.
But he is, I do, he does get a little bit of money, especially when he helps me, with the boxing and stuff. And so I really do look forward to, just kind of teaching him those things of, you know, you do make money when you work hard, but there's also a lot that goes into it. So he is seeing
Hmm.
that, and I love
Yeah,
that.
that's great. So tell us a little bit more about the story of the house hunt and sort of what is your message behind the book. I like to talk about the message being either the benefits or the core values that come from the book. So just tell us a
Yeah.
little bit more about the house hunt.
Yeah, so the house hunt, I love telling people that it's kind of like an episode of House Hunters for kids.
Hmm.
And it's about a family who's looking for a new home, and the kids are really excited and kind of don't know like what to expect with, going and seeing homes, just touring them and going to see and finding the one. Um, but it's just a sweet, fun story. I love the excitement kids get when they get into a new home, because it's like they don't know what's around the corner, and the exciting things that they'll find. Um, and then they're looking and looking and looking, and they get really discouraged because they're not finding the one, and they ask mom, when are we going to know? And I've always told my clients, you have that feeling. And so mom tells them, you'll know it because you'll feel it with all your heart. And eventually they do find the right home, and they're excited, and they're, you know, then leaving the house that they've lived in. And, the kids are, worried, what life will be like, and they're sad to leave the house that they've lived in for so long. And so it kind of just touches on the emotions of moving, but also the adventure, because there's a lot of wonderful things ahead for them. um and that's, I wanted to touch on the fun part, but also the emotions, and yeah, it's a really sweet story.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. It is. So I know you just launched. You said you just had your launch party this past weekend. We're recording this on October 1st. And so you had it just a couple of days ago. I think this video will probably go live next week. But anyways, you're brand new, I guess you might say publicly, but you've been selling the book for a little
Yeah,
while now.
yeah,
You've decided, at least up until now, not to put it on Amazon. But that's because you had a very specific plan in mind. So first of all, tell us a little bit about your what I call the bullseye audience, or the niche audience that you are focusing on, and also how you're sort of marketing towards this audience directly with your book. I just want to hit the pause button for just a moment and let any authors who might be watching to let you know of a free resource that I have on my website at launchmissioncreative.com. If you go there at the top of the page, you'll see a link for a beta checklist. And this is a free guide that I'm offering with a list of over 40 questions that you can ask your beta readers to really maximize the feedback that you receive on your manuscript. So if you're an author who has just finished your manuscript, or maybe you're still writing, this is the perfect time to get this checklist and get prepared for getting that feedback from your beta readers. Now let's get back to the show.
yeah. So you know um as a real estate agent, because I've learned a lot, I've taken like bits and pieces of like what I've learned running a business in real estate, and kind of bringing it over to my publishing business. And they the money is in the niche, like your niche,
Mm.
like it's that is like what, like, figure out who you're going to go after, and really spend your time and your resources doing that. And so I knew that when I was writing this book that I would market it to real estate agents. It's a great gift. As agents, we're always looking to stand out from the 20,000 agents that are around us. And so I thought this is going to be a great gift. And so I knew who I needed to go out and find it. It was agents. And I know where agents are. I know what they do. I know what they like, and so it really was something that just kind of really melded together. And it's like, I know exactly, how I need to do this. You know, I decided not to put it on Amazon, but for right now, but we're actually going to be probably putting on Amazon in the future, probably in the next few months. But I really wanted to see it first, like, because I really haven't spent a ton of money on marketing, besides like just using Instagram, Facebook. I know agents all over the country, and so I really had that benefit of like having a good start, and then just kind of seeing like what worked before I put a ton of money into it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I doing Instagram, that has helped a lot. Reaching out to people on Facebook. One thing that I did that has worked tremendously is finding agents who are really present on Instagram and sending them. I would do like these little influencer boxes, and so it would have each one of my books and the game. And then I just wrote a letter, just kind of like about who I am, what this book is for, highlighting the great points of it, why it would benefit their business. And I actually do really, really well when they post it on their Instagram, because then they're reaching other agents that maybe I'm not, reaching.
Mm.
So that has
Yeah.
helped build like our following. And then the biggest thing that I've done that has been the most successful was I did a real estate convention last month. 2 months ago. Sorry. It's October. And so it was a 3-day event. There were over 7,000 agents in attendance. And I did a booth, had a whole setup, and it was, believe me, it was a long 3 days, because it was like 7 a.m. till 5:30, and you're just, you're talking to people. And it was a lot of setup and things like that, but it paid off tremendously. We ended up selling over 1,500 books,
Yeah.
and that was pretty awesome.
That is awesome. It really
It was
is.
pretty
So
awesome.
tell us a little bit, like how big was the audience here at this convention?
Well, there were 7,000 people in attendance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, it was great because there was a lot of things that we learned as far as like, okay, like next time, here are the things that we're going to do differently, or how we're going to like be more visible. Because I was like in the lower tier of the sponsorship table. So you're kind of off to a corner, like it wasn't like
Mhm.
the greatest location. But by the end of the convention, everyone was like, oh, people are telling me about, I got to go see the cute booth with all the children's books. Cause I've been to so many real estate conventions and there's never been a children's book, booth. So it was definitely very different. And I think I kind of caught a lot of them off, you know, because it's something very different, very different.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah.
but yeah, it was so good. So we're going to do another one in February. And I'm hoping to do it. Like, I'm hoping that this is something that we can do, a couple times a year. Because it was, because from the event, then we're collecting the email addresses to, then put them on our email campaign. And so it's all the things. It's like when you're starting a business, it's like, okay, what's working, what's not, and how do we reach out to people?
Mm. Yeah. That's so good. And that, of course, that was that convention was very much your niche audience. So you had a pretty high percentage turnaround. You said there were about 7,000 people there, and you can kind of expect like 3 to 5% at a given festival or vendor event to make a purchase, but you had more like a seven no a 20% turnaround if you're looking at individual books. Now I imagine in your instance they're probably buying in bulk, right?
Yeah. So what's really crazy is, let's see, because I ran the numbers. It was about 86 orders, and it was everywhere from people buying one books. I had people, buy 100 books at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's like the fun part, is like they're actually buying these in bulk. And what's really cool is something to touch on that we have also added as an option for our books is we do custom labels. I was looking to see if I have one. I don't have one next to me. But we're doing custom labels for the books, and we're branding them with the agent's business. I also sell them to like title companies and lenders. And so we're branding the labels with their headshot and logo and all their contact information. And
Yeah.
then we're putting these labels inside the book. And what's really cool is, we're then able to tell these agents, look, this is 100% tax write-off because it's a marketing piece. So it's really a win-win for them. It's easy to spend money when you can turn around at the end of the year and write it off. And so,
Well, even for business owners to be able to hand somebody their own business book, it's kind of like a business card.
yes.
And in your case, you're kind of offering business cards for other real estate agents to pass out, and
Yeah.
so they're buying your book and giving it away to their customers, and I think it's awesome. It's
Yeah.
such a great idea. And go ahead. Did you have any other?
Yeah. And that was one reason why, too, that I wanted. So, like the hardcover book, the storybook, I wanted it to be a really nice quality because it's like,
Mhm.
it's something that is a nice touch. It's like you're getting ready to buy a home, and someone gives you a book for your kids, especially as a parent. It's like, anyone that loves on my kids, like, I love them. you know but I
Yeah.
wanted it to be a keepsake, so that's why
Yeah.
it's a hardcover. It's got the dust jackets, the illustrations. Amy did such an awesome job, and you did such a great job of designing it and just making it so beautiful. So I wanted it to be something that people would keep, and then
Mhm.
down the road, in a few years, and maybe they're looking at the book and they're like, oh, this is so nice. Like, our agent gave this to us. And, like, the, agents, you have to stay on top of mind with your clients and your people, because you get referrals that way, you get repeat business that way. And so
Mhm.
it is something that I designed for agents to just help their business.
Well, and that's another thing I wanted to ask you about was sort of the raising the standard as far as the quality goes, because it is a book that it's a higher quality book than a lot of the especially self-publishing books out there, if I
Yeah.
can say that. And really even traditionally published books, they don't always reach for the stars, so to speak. And but beyond the look of your book, I've also been seeing these video posts, these reels, and pictures that you're posting from the events you've had so far, this convention that you talked about, and your release party this weekend, and your display is just it's amazing. You got the colorful balloons, you
Thank
got this
you.
beautiful aqua colored bookshelf, with all your books on it, and it really stands out. So you were talking about having a lower what's the word I'm looking for, a smaller booth area, I guess, at
Yeah.
this convention, but you made it stand out. and it was through the quality of that. And of course, you're into interior design, so you know what to do. But talk to us a little bit about sort of the thought process behind that and how important it was to you to really yeah, to kind
You
of
know,
raise the bar on that.
Travis, that comes really natural to me. That's just the way, like, I grew up with a mom who was so extra with everything. Like our birthday parties growing up, she always just found a way to like just make them really special. And it wasn't always the money, it wasn't money. It was just like this is something I remember. My mom and my 6th birthday, we had treat bags and they were just white, the little white paper treat bags, but I had a 101 Dalmatians birthday party. She had a Sharpie and hand drew these spots and wrote the kids' names like really cute on these bags. And that's what I grew up with. It was just like, how can we make everything beautiful and fun and stand out? And so I grew up with that. And that's just like really natural to me of just like, and I know from personally, just like there's things that catch my eye or things that I love that
Mm,
are beautiful and fun. And so I was like, with this whole thing, it's like, how do you get seen? And it's by, just being eye catching. It's, people love looking at things that are beautiful. And, you know, my main customer is a woman real estate agent. That's who, this is drawn to the most. And I know what they love. They like pretty things.
yeah,
And so
yeah,
it's been a lot of fun because I do love being really creative. And so like, the booth that I had at the convention, like, I designed it all and that was a lot of fun to do. It's really an outlet for me. And so that was a lot of fun to like put that together and design it. And it came out so great. I was so happy because, it's like you have these things in your head and you're like, oh gosh, I hope this works out.
yeah.
But yeah,
Well, it
it's
sounds
been
like
a
it
lot of
has.
fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, if the real estate career doesn't work out, I think you have a future in coaching authors in their vendor space. That could be
Yeah.
something you could explore.
Yeah. It's been a lot of fun. Like now I will say I am truly an optimist and sometimes to a fault. Like there was a lot of like moving parts with that booth. And thank goodness I knew that I live in Beaumont and it was a 4.5 hour drive to Dallas where the convention was. Thank God my husband has a truck. There was not a single spot in that truck that wasn't filled with things. And my sister, she flew in from Denver to help me. And I think we were like the only booth there that was like continuously like bringing out stuff. They're like, oh my gosh, but everyone was like, this is the most beautiful booth I've ever seen. So our next convention's in Las Vegas, and it will be different because I can't take all that stuff with me. So we're actually in the process of figuring out how to have less things, but still have a great impact visually.
So it's interesting that you mentioned that. I wonder how a booth could be redesigned for the different cities that you'll be
Yeah.
in, because I imagine you could have a completely different look for Las Vegas that you would have in Dallas.
Yeah.
Um, have
Well,
you had any thoughts about that?
we're like in the early process. I was actually talking to my sister the other day. I was like, we need to like talk about like what we're gonna do for the next one. Um,
Yeah,
it's just it's it makes you think because you're like, okay, like I only have so much space to bring things. So it's like what's
yeah,
the biggest impact you can make visually with not having as much stuff.
yeah, Yeah,
So.
that's great. So, talk to us a little bit about the response you've had um, from the book, and I really want to hear. You know, you're still new. The book hasn't been out long, but I would love to know how it has helped your business. Um, and I don't know, are you still active in the real estate world and doing all that, or is this kind of like
Yes.
taking over? Or what percentage of your time is spent with which, and has it helped you to scale your business?
Yeah, yeah. So, so real estate's really great because it can really kind of be what you want it to be in your life. So, like, I've had
Mhm.
years where pre my son, I was working a lot and, was selling over 8 million in real estate a year, which in my market was a lot. And, that was a full-time career at that point. Now that I'm a mom, we live in a city where we don't have family that is local. My husband works a lot. And so I've kind of have stepped back from doing real estate full time to,
Mhm.
um, I get referrals from agents in other cities. So I do a lot of relocation business. So a lot of people moving here. Um, and so, it's helped my business as far as, reaching back out to those agents that are, we've almost, I think we're shy of 6 states that we have sold our books in. And so it's like making these connections with other agents who most of the people who have bought the book, I don't, I haven't worked personally or met them personally, but it's like, hey, I'm a real estate agent in Beaumont. If you ever, have someone moving here, let's connect. And so it has helped, like, with those connections to other real estate agents. And it's also beneficial for them too, because I get people who are moving to different states, and so I'm like, hey, I know someone in Chicago. You're moving there. Like, I've got a great agent, and so that's been fun, just to, like, connect with other real estate agents. And it has, it's been really fun. I've had recently a new client, and they have small kids. They were moving to Beaumont from Alaska, and I sent them a package with the books, and just told them, I'm excited to meet you and for you to move here, and sent them the books and this sweet package. And the mother called me and she was like, we absolutely love, like, these books, and then we realized that you
Mhm.
wrote them. And so they're like, that is amazing. So, that that has, like, been really fun to share it with people. But the agents who have, bought these, I'm already getting repeat orders. Their clients are loving them. Um,
Mhm.
and, I'm telling agents, like, because, at first, the kind of the thought was, oh, this is a great closing gift, like at the closing table, like when everything's done. And I've told him, I'm like, no, don't take it to closing. Like, take it to whenever you're going on the appointment. When you're first meeting these clients and you're, hoping to get the listing to sell their house, or you're hoping to get them to, be a buyer, and you're, helping them that way, because it's a great way to stand out. If they're interviewing multiple agents, then you're showing up with gifts for the kids. It's this beautiful book and work,
Talk about getting on their good side. That,
Yes, yes. And
yeah,
so that's kind of, like, been the fun part, and agents are loving it. They're loving it.
yeah,
It is. It's something so simple that they can have, and then it's branded to their business, and then they're showing up to an appointment and they have these things, and it's just a total wow factor.
absolutely. Um, So before I move on, if I just want to say to anyone who is watching this, if you are a business owner or you're business minded, maybe you're even a real estate agent and you've been considering writing a book to help your business, leave a comment below and let me know. And, of course, like and subscribe and all those things that we ask you to do on YouTube. But um, Ashley, I just want to ask if you had any advice for those business-minded people who might be interested in writing not only a book but a children's book.
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
Well, so I would say is find the niche. Like if you know like there's something missing, there's a way that you can, reach these families with kids, like, this can like really benefit your business. Like there's, ways to bring it all together, which has been so fun. Um and it's so, what started as more of like, a business idea, it's now, like I said, it's become like a mission of mine. Like it's so like fun to like get these kids involved in learning more, especially, just in my world, it's about real estate. It's learning about home ownership. It's learning about the how important a home is to a family. And I think there's such an opportunity for, nothing against, because Travis, I know you've written a book about, you know, um, a lot of people love to write books that kind of have like the sentimental, feeling of like different kids and just things like that. There's all kinds of avenues that we can like explore with kids, and I think business like is something that just really hasn't been tapped into as much. And I hope that maybe this inspires other kids who want to get into real estate one day. And
Yeah.
so there's so many opportunities out there, and even if you think there's like other books that maybe are similar to what you would want to write about, go for it. There's room for so many things.
Yeah, well, I think that's an interesting comment as well because anytime we have a chance to inspire or encourage our kids towards you know a specific career or anything later in life, I think it's fantastic. Not that we want to say, okay, you're going to be a real estate
Yeah,
agent, but if they show interest in it already, why
yeah,
not encourage that? I
yeah,
think about other books that are out there like Ada Twist Scientist, and there's a lot of other books out there that encourage different careers, and I think yours does a fantastic job of encouraging um, little real estate agents, and actually love that your activity book kind of highlights these different careers or these different people that they may meet along the house hunt journey. Like you've got the closer and the lender and the what was it, the contractor or
the inspector,
inspector, yeah, thank you,
builder.
and all these different, yeah, which is just, it's fantastic. And I mentioned early on that I studied sort of architecture or 3D CAD in college, and so I love seeing these different house styles inside the activity book and all that. It's so fun, and so it's not just a fun story, but it's also really educational. And
Yeah,
I think you did a fantastic job. So
thank you.
um, you're off to a good start. Do you have any sneak peeks for us? What's coming up next?
Oh, I'm so excited. It's so funny because it's like, whenever you first like start writing, and this was something so new to me, like I really had no idea what I was doing. So to people out there, if you're even thinking about it, like you can do it. It
Yeah.
takes time. But it has been such a fun process. And I really didn't, was like when I was in the thick of it of writing and like figuring all this out, I was like, I don't know if I'll do another book. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. And it's just gone so well that I'm like, yes, like now I'm getting all these other ideas. But no, I'm really excited because later this year we're gonna have the House Hunt come out. It's the same book, same activity book, but we're going to have a Black family featured. I I've had so many agents reach out to me and say, "Can we have some more diversity?" And I was like, "Absolutely, absolutely." So I got to share kind of a sneak peek at the convention that I did, and everyone was so excited. So I'm really excited to, have some more diversity, hopefully get more, just appeal to more kids and families through that. And then we are going to make the house hunt a series. So we're going to
Mm.
have some different house styles and locations. I don't want to give too much away,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we have some more books in the making. So I'm really, really excited, and hopefully those will come out probably later next year.
That's awesome. So
Yeah,
good to hear. So Ashley, it's been such a pleasure to have you on the show. Can you just share, if someone wants to get in touch with you, how they should follow you or contact you?
absolutely. So you can follow us on Facebook or Instagram. It's at Welcome Home Press. And you can visit our website. It's welcomehomepress.com. And yeah, all my information's on there. And anyone that has any questions, um, I I love to help people. I've already had so many people, reaching out just saying, I've always wanted to write a children's book. How did you do this? And so I had a lot of people help me along the way. Travis, you're one of them. And so I look forward to helping people in the future, just kind of passing along that generosity that I got along the way of me not knowing what in the heck I was doing.
Yeah, that's great. That's
Yeah,
great. Well, if anyone has been watching me for a while, watching this show for a while, you know that I love to end with the phrase, write the book. I'm going to specifically say business owners and entrepreneurs and freelancers, real estate agents,
yes.
write the book.
Write the book.
Thanks, everybody.